You and I with Rashmi Shetty is a human library audio podcast bringing in stories of people you and I can draw inspiration from. Welcome to the third season of this amazing story listening journey. Ordinary folks, extraordinary lives, their uniqueness and individuality, making them interesting to talk to and to listen to. Each one of them completely connected to the voice in me and with motivational stories of moving beyond themselves to make a difference in the world. A reaffirmation of the fact open your eyes wider. The world is far more beautiful when we acknowledge the presence of both you and I. Our guest today is Jagdish Kini. Jagdish is a strategic thinker, master at building high performance leadership teams, passionate executive coach and mentor, educationist, and social philanthropist. He is a hands on specialist, consultant, and advisor in the FMCG and telecom sectors. He's a strategy planner, executioner, and organization development consultant. Jagdish was formerly the executive director and CEO of Airtel and MD and CEO of Gillette India. He brings a huge understanding of the Indian and international business environments, especially in the telecom, FMCG, and retail segments, combined with a vast leadership experience in managing and motivating large teams. People management, sales processes, and decision making are the other areas close to his heart. At Procter and Gamble, Jagdish learned to manage and build brands. At L'Oreal and at Gillette, he learned to manage and build companies. At Airtel, he learned to build an industry. He considers himself to be blessed to be in the right place, the right company, and at the right time. Listen in as Jagdish shares his amazing journey, leadership lessons, handling oneself during layoffs, and how to build a positive outlook in life. Hi, Jagdish. Such a pleasure having you on You and I with Rashmi Shetty.
Hey, Rashmi, long time.
Really long. And you and I is all about exploring the uniqueness and individuality that each of us carry. I have known you as somebody who's always the life in a place. You have some amazing inputs in a conversation, and then you're a very patient listener to see what the others have to contribute. I am very curious to know, was little Jagdish also somebody who was a very patient listener, observant of the world around him, and good at studies, nerdy in school, teacher's pet? Your childhood is something that I'd really love to explore. And the journey from little Jagdish to the Jagdish Kini that the world knows you today as is one journey, I'm sure, which is fascinating. Where were you born and how did the journey begin?
Well, how much time do we have? Because this journey you're asking for is can go on for days. Anyway, let me try and sort of keep it as short as possible. Yeah, born in Bombay in the year 1955, a scorpion. So, some people are scared of scorpions, some people love scorpions. I think my wife loves a scorpion, so it's great. Born in a middle class family which struggled. So we struggled for almost everything. But in all that struggle, my parents had only one priority for all the four children. We are four children, two boys and two girls. The two girls are older to me, and my brother is younger to me. My second sister, we lost her 2 years ago to cancer. Other than that, my older sister is in US. My younger brother is in US. I'm here in India. I never was fascinated by the US. I don't know why. But my mother, she was amazing. She made ends meet every time. No matter what we asked for, she would actually, without giving it to us, would make us feel okay about it. So it was an amazing sort of attitude she had, because for her and for my dad, education was the one place that they would invest, no matter how much it costs. So education they believed, which again is something that is passed on to me. Even I believe in it, that if one is educated, he can actually or she can actually make a life of it. So education is something that I talk a lot about. I I try and promote also for the female education candidates. But other than that, I think I've had a very normal upbringing in the sense, whole lot of fears. But along with a whole lot of fears, I had a whole lot of dreams. Uh, if I have to look at my childhood, it was full of dreams. I dreamt about almost everything. But the one thing I didn't know, which I knew much later in life, uh, probably that's the turning point in my life. Till 24, till the age of 24, none of my goals were met. None. From 25 onwards, every goal of mine has been met. And if I have to, okay, at the age of 24, my wife came into my life as my girlfriend. And so therefore, maybe she brought in the change. But honestly, if I have to really look for a reason why this change happened, I think I realized that opportunities come in overalls, which means whole lot of hard work, whole lot of focus, and whole lot of energy to be put behind that opportunity. So dreams are all about opportunities, and opportunities come in overalls. So therefore, calls for a whole lot of hard work, which as a child, till I was 24, probably I expected the dreams to happen. You heard about everybody talking about dream, and it'll happen. And it never happened. I think that's one of the big transformations that I went through from a child to my current being. Another thing I would say is I've been lucky as a child to experience. We didn't have the resources for many things, but I think the opportunity to experience life was humongous. Where we stayed in Bombay, I think there was a gang of about 30, 35 children, all age groups, maybe 4, 5 years older than me and 2, 3 years younger than me. So about 30, 40 people of us. So playing games, learning how to manage friends, learning about relationships, the fights that we had, the games that we played, the competition, how to compete and how not to compete. Everything was through an experience. I must be one of those few Bombay-born, brought up kids who experienced the village life completely. Every year we would go to Mangalore, to our hometown. Climbing a coconut tree and trying to conquer that coconut tree was very normal, and slipping and falling and burning your inner thighs was very, very normal. Sitting on a guava tree or a mango tree reading a book was again very normal. Riding a bullock cart. And I've done that. In all these experiences, there were some major learnings. And one learning was, I was about 14 years old, I think. And we were in Mangalore in this place called Mudbidri, my paternal grandparents' home. My paternal grandfather had expired when my mother was 5. So it was all his brothers who brought them up. And that eldest, the living gentleman there, the head of the family, he was a businessman with a difference. He did business to look after the village. So he sold roti and makan. So anything that was going into staple food, he was selling, and he was selling stuff which was to repair houses. And then he realized that in his village, people could not get trucks to get stuff, though they wanted to build or repair their house. If they have to get stuff like cement, for example, they didn't have transport. So he actually invested in a truck, which was used mainly for the village requirements. And we at 14, me and a cousin of mine actually saw the truck driver sleeping, took the keys out from below his pillow, and took it out for a ride. My bad luck, when I was at the wheel, my grandfather was on his evening walk and he saw the truck. He didn't say anything. We realized that he had seen it, and I was petrified. I was scared. When I went home in the evening after all this masti of us, he called me to his room and he said, I thought he was going to fire me, but he always spoke in a very low decibel voice. And he said, Jagdish, to me, you are an intelligent boy. How could you put somebody else's life at risk? Such a big learning at a decibel level, which was so soft. And I believed that was a very, very big learning for me. Since that day, I've learned to take accountability and responsibility for my actions. Thank you, Grandpa. That was amazing. These are things which has helped me become the person that I am. I feel blessed. I mean, absolutely blessed that I was born in that family, what we went through, the experiences we had, everything. It was amazing. If you have to look back, I don't think there's any regret at all. I have lived life the way I wanted to live. Yes, there are times when I say I didn't get this and I didn't get that. Those wants were there, those needs were there. But I mean, everybody has something which is not fulfilled. But I think most of what I wanted were fulfilled in different ways, in very, very different ways. And I mean, I think I feel very fulfilled, because the opportunities I got to learn and grow. Even when I finished my graduation and I said I was going to look for a job, my father said, "Do you want to do an MSc?" I said, "No." He said, "Why?" I said, "I don't want to be a lab assistant." So he said, "Then what is it you want to do?" So I said, "I'll look for a job." And he said, "Would you like to join a bank?" I said, "No, I don't want to join a bank." As you know, our community, everybody goes into the bank. Syndicate Bank, Canara Bank, and many other banks that our community people have built. I said no to the bank. And then he said, "Okay, then go search a job and get yourself a job." And he used to give me 10 rupees in the morning and say, "Okay, see you in the evening. All the best." 5 rupees in that 10 rupees, he used to go to the bus fare. 5 rupees or 4 rupees 50 paise was Udupi Thali. And I would go every day, 83 Limited or 84 Limited, take a bus, go to Nariman Point, visit office by office, write down your CV in the evening, make copies. And those days, copies were handwritten, there were no photocopying and everything. So life was great here. I mean, and I remember I got a job with, I think it was Glaxo, and the job was a sales guy. And I thought it would be a good job. And I came back home and I told my parents, and my sister was sitting there, older sister, and she was that time studying MBBS, and she was in a final year MBBS. And she said, "Oh, so you're going to be a medical rep and you'll come and sit and wait for a doctor for 3 hours." Huh? And I didn't know, I mean, whether that was saying don't take the job or what. So I went and I said, "I can't take the job because I don't want it." So those guys got very upset on me. Why don't you want it? And I couldn't explain. But anyway, then I got my job with Siemens, and then life began. And career began. And here we are, 45 years later, talking to each other and feeling happy about it.
Wow. So there are nuggets that you got at the right time, appropriate time, but stayed with the life lessons that those came along and definitely shaped you to who you are. I love that statement, Jagdish, that you said that opportunities come in overalls. When you look back and in the journey that started from Siemens or the rejection that you did of Glaxo, what is it that you learned about the essence of choice and leadership there?
Today, much later in life, I have some of my one-liners, and one of my one-liners about choice is that, you are what you are because of the choices you've made in the past. If that be true, then you have the power to create the future. I didn't know about choices as a child, but my parents, my grandparents, they offered these choices through their communication, through options that they gave it to us. My mother didn't give options. She only told us to lay the table or to clean the table. So there was no options. If there was an option, I would say, "No, I'm studying." So, my dad and my grandfather, they definitely gave us options. I learned about the value of options and value of choosing right when I actually spent that 1 month looking for a job. Every time I would enter a office and meet the receptionist and say, "Hi, I'm looking for a job." And most of the time we have no vacancies. It's like a salesman coming now to your doorstep and you say, "No, no, kuch nahi chahiye," or how people intrude on your phone. And moment you see the number which is not familiar to you, you know it's a sales call, and then you snub it and you put it off. So there I realized some of them were helpful and were willing to entertain you. Then came the question in my mind is, you begin to doubt when things are a little easy. So then I said, should I join this company or not? To understand the culture of the organization, I would visit the toilet of that organization. And if the toilet was clean and well maintained, then I would say, "Oh, maybe this is a good organization to join." Now, don't ask me how that connects. But somewhere there was a deep connection to say that if the culture is good, it will be seen in clean toilets. I don't know why, but even today, I remember in all the companies that I worked in or I managed, I would inspect the toilets to make sure that the toilets were clean and hygienic. That's one place I feel that we don't give enough credence to or enough importance to. And I think I had this thing about making sure that this is is good. Coming back to choices, I think the choice of joining Siemens and meeting friends there. I made quite a few friends there. I'm still in touch with them. We have a WhatsApp group of those, and we call it old timers. Recently, 2 months ago, I went all the way to Chandigarh to meet my first boss, and my wife came along with me. She had never met Mickey when I was in Siemens because she didn't know me at that time. So she said, no, even I want to come and meet Mickey, because Mickey actually gave me the first leadership lesson. I was handling some part of on the accounting side for switchboard factory, and I was finding a lot of issues there the way it was being managed. So I tried to make a suggestion, and maybe my suggestion, my communication must have been irritating. I don't know. These young guys come and they think they can change the world. So I must have come across as that to that manager. So he called up Mickey and he said, get this guy out of my department right now. So Mickey called me up and I said, okay. And I came back. So Mickey asked me what happened. So I tried to tell Mickey what happened. And then Mickey said, I want you to think about one thing, Jagdish. Tomorrow morning when you come to work, let's chat at 9 o'clock. And if you and me can change Siemens in a day, we start tomorrow morning. I couldn't sleep that night. Next morning, I went to him and I said, Mickey, you're right. It takes time. He says, bloody well, it takes awful time. It takes a hell of a lot of time. Don't try to change things immediately. It takes time for people to appreciate and acknowledge that this can be changed and there's a better way of looking at it. And I think that was where my journey as a leader started. And then life went on, and then some of my friends said, and study with us. They were doing cost accountancy. So I had never done accounting before. So I said, let me start learning, because learning is something that was instilled in me as important. So I tried it and I realized it's not possible to learn whilst you're working. And I couldn't give up my job to do a cost accountancy course because it takes a long time. And that's when I met another friend of mine from Siemens, and he talked to me about IIMs. So I tried getting into IIMs. I would get through the written, but get blasted in the group discussion because Stephens versus IIT. And 2-3 of us, non-IIT, non-Stephens, would sit and watch. And we came out of the room plastered with bandages, and we never made it. So finally, I made it to SIBM, and I think I got into SIBM because I had to meet Anjali there. So that's really they say no, marriages are made in heaven. God made sure I didn't get into IIM. I got into SIBM, and that's where I met Anjali. But about choices, I think life is all about choices, and I've made a lot of wrong choices. I've made a lot of good choices, and I remember the good choices, not the bad choices.
Very true. And then going on your journey further, from these choices that you made, then SIBM's journey where you met Anjali, and right at the beginning you said things shifted the moment you met Anjali. Maybe she brought it along with her, but life started looking very different, being very different, and you got every goal that you set. So was it your time at SIBM that gave you clarity on what to expect of life, what to have as your goals, and were you more focused? Because like you said, opportunity comes in overalls. Were you able to remove that overall to see what it is that in the opportunity before you that you needed to focus on? How and what changed?
I think SIBM offered experiences and interaction with professors and faculty and external people who were authentic people, who were vulnerable, who were beautiful. I still remember, if you see my book, I started my book with a chapter talking about PC Narayan, an amazing guy, simply amazing. And he was a few years older than us. He was an engineer working in telco, and he was a visiting faculty for us. Some of the things he talked to us were very insightful, very, very insightful. And when you start reading my book, you'll remember that PC Narayan's model which he gave us. It's such a simple model, but it's so impactful. When I talk about it in my book, my wife read it and she says, when did PC say this? I said, that means you people don't pay attention to when PC was talking. He would talk like it's a matter of fact. Yeah, he didn't say that I'm going to give you some golden nuggets. He would just say it because he had to say it. He was sharing. His lectures were all sharing. It wasn't a lecture. And whoever could pick up what you want got so much of benefit from these guys. I still remember the dean of the institute, Colonel B.S.K.S. Chopra. And in his very first lecture, he asked us, now that you all are doing a professional course, some of you might want to smoke in the class, some of you don't want to smoke in the class. But if you people want to smoke in the class, you must find out whether others object to it. So We can have a poll right now and then you can find out, if the majority is. And he actually allowed us to smoke in class. And I was surprised that, it was, management at its core was so liberal. And it was about how you look at stuff. What is your focus on? What is your attention on? And Colonel Chopra really taught us these nuances of life rather than management. I still remember the way he used to write his diary. Such a neat diary and such a beautiful way of writing his diary. He never missed a single appointment. He was always on time. And I asked him, sir, how do you manage? And he said, oh, sit down. I'll tell you how I do my diary. And he actually shared how he writes his diary. Now, when that opportunity comes, you can also say that I'm busy. I'll talk to you tomorrow and forget about it. But he never did that. He always shared, and shared immediately. And I remember one more thing he had told us, which I took very seriously. And he said, boys and girls, remember, your salary is not enough. Salary is required to live. But if you want to create wealth, acknowledge, appreciate, and buy shares and invest in shares. And he said, you must study about companies. And you will learn in the next 2 years about companies and how to study balance sheets and stuff like that. But if you don't do that, wealth will be difficult to come along. It's almost 20 years since I gave up industry. And I can tell you that his insight was so meaningful. When I was quitting industry, I had a pretty good salary, but I didn't have too much of wealth. And whatever has happened after that is through investments. So if you can really invest well, your money will earn money for you. And I think it's a major learning that he gave in the very first lecture of our MBA class. And amazing, and I think things changed there. I mean, I don't think Anjali played such a big role in changing me, but certainly opportunities that we had in the institute. I was the president of the Students' Council in the second year. There was a time when he would call me for every decision that would impact the students. And I would say, but sir, you can take the decision. Why don't you just? He said, no, this is a student-run institute. So I need your okay before I announce the decision. So what do you think about it? And it was a joint decision. Every decision was a joint decision. These were things which were not taught as management lessons, but we got the experience. And then after you get the experience, if you're smart enough, you'll pick it up. And if you think it's good enough, you'll implement it and inculcate it in your style. SIBM gave me that opportunity to experience and to decide for myself as to what kind of leadership style I want to adopt.
And where did life take you after SIBM to implement these leadership lessons and choices?
Oh, well, I started with Procter and Gamble. I was with Procter and Gamble for close to 9 odd years. I left them to start L'Oreal in India. That came as an opportunity again. And I left L'Oreal after about 7 years or 8 years with them. I became the managing director for Gillette India. I was in Dubai with my boss at that time as the regional director, and then I came to India as the managing director for Gillette India. I spent about close to about 4.5 years with them, and that's the time when the mid-40 blues hit me, and I started asking myself as to what am I doing in life? What is important? What is not important? I think I repeated visits to Calcutta on many different occasions, even during L'Oreal and during Gillette, were very disturbing at times. The poverty that one could see on the streets in those years, I'm talking of the 90s, was very disturbing. And here was Jagdish, managing director, posh car, posh office, a good salary, stakeholders all happy, good bonuses and stuff like that. And it was disturbing as to what am I doing? When I look back and I was asking myself those questions, I would always try to compare myself with my past. And from a background of not enough resources to a situation where resources are enough and plenty, we could afford international holidays and stuff like that. The answers always came that, everybody's happy. So why you asking these questions? And I wanted to ask myself the question as to what's the kind of impact that I want to have, which led me to asking impact where, how, what. And I said, The impact I'm having on my family, my stakeholders, my company, my team, my management, everybody is happy. But the man on the street, I don't know whether he's happy with what I'm doing. And that was somewhere it was disturbing in many different ways. And I think, as a coach, in the in our brain we have the reticular activation system, where RAS, where if you activate it, very often you find the opportunities which come to you. It's not that these opportunities were not there earlier; it was always there, but you begin to see it because you're now energizing it. And when I was doing this, there came an opportunity to meet Sunil Mittal, and somebody asked me to meet him and have a cup of tea. And I was wondering why cup of tea with him, but I said, okay, I mean, since you have told him that I'll come, it's worth meeting somebody new and finding out how an entrepreneur thinks. Till then, my interaction with entrepreneurs was not too high. It was all multinational companies, set rules, set SOPs, everything was there, So I met Sunil, and in that 1 hour, he was talking about his aspiration, his ambition as an entrepreneur. Airtel was at that stage only in Delhi and in, I think it was Himachal Pradesh. Two small circles. Delhi, I mean, as a city, is large, but as a circle, it's not large enough when compared to other circles. And Himachal was a very small circle. I think we were only in those two. And they had started talking to JTM about the acquisition of JTM. So they were looking for somebody to join and take over that organization. JTM was that time having licenses for Karnataka, Andhra, and Punjab. When we were talking to Sunil, I saw on the other side of the coin, on the other side, on his side of the coin, he was talking of his aspirations as an entrepreneur, and for Airtel, he wanted to see a huge organization. But the other side of the coin, I saw my opportunity or my purpose of making a difference to the average Indian on the road. Immediately, what flashed in my mind was, I remember my father applied for a telephone in Bombay. It took us 14 years to get a telephone. And in the 14th year, we got the telephone because my sister graduated as a doctor. So there was a doctor's quota. So our phone, which was in the wait list, got transferred to doctor's quota, and we got a phone at home. I said, if it's taken us 14 years, and communication, talking to each other is so important. The economy had started opening up. 92 was when Manmohan Singh had actually started it. And we were now talking about 99, 2000. To hasten this opening of the economy, we need to communicate. And I remember, I think Sunil had actually said, this is like building a highway, but a communication highway. And I said, it's so important. If somebody can have a phone in his hand immediately and start talking immediately, it will make a big difference to anybody and everybody in their life. And I said, yes, I'll join. Now, I was leaving Gillette to join a very small organization. All those fears were still there. But that belief in myself, belief in my ability and my capabilities, was that if it didn't work out, I could always get another job. But I had this opportunity. And if I don't take this opportunity, I will be losing out, not somebody else. I will be losing out because I got this opportunity to do it. And I said, it comes in overalls is what I said, which meant there's a whole lot of work to be done. There's a whole lot of effort to be put in. It's not easy to build an organization. I had done it with L'Oreal, and I knew how much effort we put in those 7, 8 years. And I said, okay, let me do it again, but this time in technology, and let's try what we can see and what we can do. And that purpose of mine, I had also learned, through my sport about visioning. In cricket and everything, even in athletics, we were taught we need to vision what we want to do. So I did my visioning exercise with myself when I joined Airtel. And I said, the picture in my mind was when the maid at home, the lady who was helping us at home, if she gets a mobile phone in her hand, and I see an auto driver with a mobile phone in his hand, I think my job is done. That's when I joined them in 2000. This was the picture I had in mind. 2005, my maid had a phone. Every auto driver had a phone. And many more people had a phone. And I had enough stories I've heard from fishermen in Gujarat and other places of how their life had changed. And that's when I decided that I need to hang my boots, and I quit industry 45 days before I turned 50.
Oh, wow. Your vision was very large, though it may seem very simple that my maid and the auto driver should have a mobile in hand. The fact that they should get it means There are many other layers that need to be conquered. So, how did this overall picture pan out for the next few years that you were there? But more than anything else, how did you start with culture first?
The opportunity that Airtel offered was very unique in the sense that our dreams were big, our aspirations were big. We knew that we could make it big, and JTM was small. They had a license for a huge place, and they had not done much about it. So they had a few towers only in Bangalore and a few towers only in Hyderabad. Punjab, they had not even started work, for which we had to pay penalties. The opportunity was like almost like a clean slate. I could write on that slate what I believed in, and I still remember I think it was in November of 2000, where we had our first employee forums meet, and by that time we had grown from about, I think when we bought JTM, we must have been about 200 people or 250 people strength, and then the first employee forum that I was addressing was about 800 or 900 people. And I remember I stood there and I said, our vision is to build an organization which is perpetual and is going to build global benchmarks for the telecom industry. I don't know how many of those 800 or 1,000 people who were there in that room believed this old man and said, yes, yes, we can do it, or must have laughed. At that stage, I firmly believed we could do it. And every other employee forum, I would repeat our vision simply because I knew that if I didn't believe in it, I could not communicate it. So for me to tell my people that we will build this, global benchmarks for telecom, I had to first believe in it. And therefore, I started repeating it, not for them, but for myself. I had to ask myself, do I still believe in it? And if I do still believe in it, then I can talk about it. So it continued. And as a result, everybody started believing in it. I think it was Simon Sinek in one of his talks had said, I think he was talking about Martin Luther King, I think he was talking about, when he said that, the people who came there to listen to Martin Luther King did not come there because it was Martin Luther's dream that he had, but it was my dream is the same as Martin Luther King's dream. And I think I had another opportunity was to get people to join us. Since we were so small and we wanted to grow fast, getting people was my choice. I mean, I could choose people. So therefore, if I can choose people, I decided one was I'm going to choose people who are better than me, people who are younger than me, people who are better than me, and people who are more energetic and more intelligent than me. So I went looking for such people, and my job became easy. When you have such a great team with you, you don't have to work. My work was basically on one day or 2 days of a year, whereas when we actually made the budgets for the following year. And of course, when I had to interact with the board and present to the board. So my job was very easy, actually. I saw myself as motivating people, meeting people, transforming people, and I just enjoyed that job. I loved what I was doing. Yes, there was a lot of strategy, trying to stay online, on strategy and everything, but all that was not coming across as a job. It was coming across as fun, and it was marvelous time, those 5.5 years where we built Airtel from almost I think when I took it up was about 250 crores or 275 crores. When I left, we were $2.5 billion, and we were about 35,000 customers. And when I left, we were about 3 million or 4 million customers. It was amazing. And we had our ups and downs. We had our tough days. We had all those. But I think customer centricity, people believing that only people can make the difference. For me, I believe only people make the difference. For me, that was the culture which I implemented, which we ran in Airtel. So for me, that was so easy. If people have to make the difference and you think people can make the difference, you will give the respect to the person. And if you do that, that person will do what she or has to do. Nobody will shirk their job. Everybody is keen to have a great career. Believe in those people, believe in yourself. It'll happen. And it happened.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. But to get that culture into a place that you're trying to grow, what is important is humility and simplicity. Two traits and qualities that extremely successful people, it is said, definitely display. So in your journey as the top leader, wherever you've been, how important do you think these two traits are? Simplicity and humility. Are they attitudes? Are they character traits? What are they?
I think they're very, very, very important. Breaking down something complex is an art. And I also believe that if I can communicate in a very simple way, whatever the issue is or whatever the strategy is, if I can communicate in a very simple way, my understanding of that is very deep. This was demonstrated by my staff, my teammates. In Airtel, the language we used was very simple. We did not mince words. but kept it so simple and so respectful. I mean, we were working 13 hours a day, 13 to 14 hours a day. And end of the day, we were all energetic enough to continue. But we had to go home and have dinner and rest because bodies need the rest. But otherwise, I think simplicity is something I mean, let me give a small example. What it just came to my mind. This is taking simplicity to the other end. I had a CTO, forget his name, the first CTO in Karnataka, he was a Bengali gentleman. We used to, for every tower that we needed to put up, every additional tower that we had to put up. Towers were those days very costly. It was an investment of crores of rupees for a single tower. And there was a huge amount of ROI calculation, finance getting involved, and then sales being told, can you do research and tell us whether we can get so many postpaid, so many prepaid, X, falana, falana, falana. So it was complicated stuff to put up one tower. And I remember this, not CTO, the CTO. CTO said, Jagdish, life is simple. So I said, yeah, tell me. He says, Jagdish, you decide and we decide where to put up a tower. Now we also know that to get an ROI of that tower, we need 500 postpaid and we need some 250 prepaid. That becomes the target for that sales guy there. So I said, wow, it's really simple, isn't it? And how do we get that sales? So he said, no, that sales guys will know how to get sales. So they'll get the sales. But he just said, in a matter of 2 minutes, he said, we don't have to do ROI. We don't have to do all this, ROAC and AEC and all that. Just forget all this. Just decide where to put the tower and give that location sales guy the target. I said, yes, not everything is as simple as you put it. And broke down complex situations and strategies and plans into simple, actionable actions and strategies. So people actually could relate to their responsibilities. Now, I always believe that if you're talking about a huge vision, every person that in the company needs to know how that person is contributing to that vision. Unless I don't know my role, my responsibility, and how I'm contributing, my contribution is never committed fully. So I need to understand my role. Where do I fit in? And simplifying stuff helps that person to understand exactly her role in what she's doing to contribute to that big picture of us. And every person in the organization must understand this for her role and for her responsibility. And I think simplifying language, simplifying complex situations, simplifying strategies is very important. Humility, without humility, I don't even know how to answer this question because it's so difficult to run an organization if you're not humble, because you have to connect to people. If you want to build a fighting team, if you want to build a great team, you want to build a winning team, you need to connect to people. You cannot connect without humility. It's as simple as that. If humility is a part of your being, you will connect with people. You will connect from your heart with the other people. And if you can connect with your heart, I don't think you need words to even talk about it, and people will enjoy what they're doing. And once they enjoy what they're doing and they understand their roles and responsibility, you have to be a successful organization. And that's what I used to keep telling Airtel, my people in Airtel. We have to be, because we are born to win.
Yeah. So any moments, Jagdish, any stories that you have that reiterate for you your journey and how it has been satisfying, full of simplicity, humility, meeting those visions, learning from people, all that you spoke about? Any stories, any milestones, any moments that you reflect and you smile about even today?
Yeah, Airtel, there's so many people who have told me that I was easier to connect to, and they found it easier to talk to me than they could find it easier to talk to their own circle CEO, for example. I think the only reason was, again, I did various things which others don't do. Like, for example, in Airtel, whichever office I was in, whichever state or circle I was in, for that day, I would go to the office at 8:15. 8:15 to 9:15, I used to be with my own work, with my own laptop, and for the day, anything that I'm missing out, anything that I need to be, important that I need to take care of, All that I would do in that 8:15 to 9:15 or 9:30. 9:30 in the morning, the office would start. And I would go to the topmost floor of our office building, whether it was Hyderabad or Bangalore or Pune or Chennai or Kerala or wherever I was. We had about 4 or 5 floors office. So I'd go to the topmost floor and walk around that floor, say hi to people. I try to remember people's names. If somebody's spouse or somebody's family member is not well, and I would ask the HR if there was any cases like this, then I would walk up to that person and inquire about the family member's health and stuff like that. So I asked my people to keep me, my leadership team to keep me informed about anything that is there. But the connect that I made with people was direct. I always went and met people in where they sat. I never used my phone to talk to people within Airtel. And okay, the reason for that, I'll tell you later. Just remind me. I'll tell you the reason why I stopped using my phone in Airtel. So I would really connect with people, and then I would come to the next floor, next floor, next floor, next floor, and I would really, for me, that was very important. Half an hour to 40 minutes, meeting people and just saying hi to them. Of course, a lot of people thought that that was my round to see who is on time, who's not on time, which I didn't bother. But well, it's their way of looking at it. I also know that I came to know this after I left Airtel. That moment I would start my walk to the topmost floor, messages would go TOP, TOP, TOP. So I used to wonder, then I asked some guys, I know these sales guys are very mischievous guys. So it all started in sales only, TOP. So I asked one guy, what does TOP stand for? He said, nothing, sir. TOP is stop. So I said, no, I know. Tell me, what does TOP stand for? Then he said, now that you've left, we can tell you. I said, yeah, tell me. So he said, tiger on the prowl. So TOP would go around and then, but they enjoyed it. Tiger was on the prowl, but everyone enjoyed it and they looked forward to me coming there. If I didn't come one day there, they would say, easy traveling or easy somewhere else, So they knew that. So that was actually, I think, really connecting with people, staying connected to people. We still meet. We have these get-togethers in Hyderabad and Bangalore and Pune and other places as well. We get together and we spend hours together. In Hyderabad, they said, we don't want a get-together which is for 2-3 hours. So they say we start in the afternoon and you leave the next morning. So you stay in the same hotel. So Hyderabad has taken it to another level. That's the Andhra team. We all meet regularly. Every time we meet, it's amazing. And today when I see them, so many of them doing different things and doing very successful stuff, it gives a sense of satisfaction, that we work together and we share this special bond. They know that I am there if they need any help, and I know that they are there if I need any help. So that bond which is there, which was created for those 5 years, is still very, very strong. And I believe that was because we all connected with each other. That story why I didn't once, my phone number is ending with 80,000. And once I was talking to somebody on the phone and my phone had a problem or something went wrong. So I used a landline, which I had in the office, and I used the landline to call somebody internally again. And I realized, and he picked up the phone and said, hello. So I said, hello, this kya chahiye? Then I realized, I said, so that means this etiquette of phone, is it only for 80,000? And I said, no, I need to change this. And I said, I must walk around and I need to connect and I need to talk to people, and understand. And I really, every opportunity I got of talking of customer centricity, I did that. I know, when you're building something or you're changing something, communication is very, very, very critical. And I paid a lot of attention to that. And I kept that simple and it worked. You are a voice coach. So this is a great proof that communication is very, very critical in life and in business.
Yeah, that's so true. And I remember at your book launch, the feedback that people gave and the experiences they shared, for me, was proof how human you made the role that you had played in their lives and in the company to help them wherever they are. It was very evident for me, Jagdish, that the human being in you was working more than making sure everyone is a human doing around there. And it was very clear with all the feedback that people gave, so personal, and how you had touched each of them at a very personal level. And talking about communication and connect, the pandemic was one time when we physically could not meet. And you just shared why it was so important for you to go there and talk to people one on
Oh,
one.
yes, yes.
All of us took back our lessons. But what have your reflections from the pandemic been?
Well, the pandemic made me think a lot, made me reflect a lot, made me ask a lot of questions to myself. My mother-in-law saw the pandemic very differently. Once she had said, it's a great opportunity for all us to be together all the time. And I was thinking about that as well. And I said, yes, and she was really talking about the relationships, and are we investing enough? Perhaps was the question which she didn't ask. So that made me reflect. We moved coaching from a face-to-face to a phone or on the net, and that became a new way of learning, a new way of doing work, a new way of managing something which we believed was not effective enough when we started. But then we had to make it effective, and we found pleasure in it. And so it's all about experiencing. If I have to reflect upon what stops us from experiencing is wanting to be in the comfort zone. So once you step out of the comfort zone, it's amazing how you are in the flow, and you don't even know when you enter the learning and the growth zones. And today, coaching on the net has become so impactful and widely accepted. During those times when I was coaching on the net, I realized my own introspection told me that I'm not effective enough as I was in the face to face. What is so different? Am I not putting enough effort? Am I not doing enough preparation before the coaching, post coaching? All those questions, I kept saying, no, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But yet, that energy was a bit low. And somewhere I realized that because of the pandemic, I could not play golf. Now, not playing golf impacted my coaching. And I said, I can't let this to happen to my clients. Pandemic is pandemic, but I can't use that as an excuse to be ineffective. I have to do something about the golf part. And I realized that the visioning exercises and all that I used to do earlier in my workshops and stuff like that. And I said, I can do a visioning exercise here also on golf. So I actually put a mat on my terrace, small carpet mat, took my golf clubs up, took one ball, kept it there, and started imagining my course. And I would play my full 18 holes. Of course, when you play the 18 holes, it takes about 4-5 hours. But I could finish 18 holes in about half an hour to 45 minutes. Because when you're imagining, you think you are the world's best golfer. And every shot of yours is straight, and every hole is a par or a birdie. But it gave me back my mojo. It gave me back my energy to coach. And I realized that you can always find ways to bring back your energy. You can always find ways to do what you want to do. You can always find ways, provided you keep an open mind and ask yourself searching questions. The other thing I did was, I still had a lot of time, which I couldn't go out, so I was in the house. How much can you talk to your wife and, in a day, So I started writing my book. And that's the book which got released 2 years later. And I found that, again, very, very satisfying, fulfilling, because I didn't know how many people would read my book. I wrote the book because I wanted to write. I wrote the book because I wanted to share. People buy it or don't buy it was not the focus at all. And that gave me the satisfaction of writing that book. And I thought when it became a bestseller on Amazon, I thought Release the Hostage gave me great satisfaction, and it was very fulfilling. Yeah. And a lot of people came back and have told me that, very insightful, very nicely written, very fluid, and it flows very well. And and 2-3 people told me, and they were the people who worked with me in Airtel, and they said, sir, it's like as though you're talking to us. When we read the book, we can picture you sitting in front of us and you're talking to us. And I said, oh my God, I didn't realize that perhaps my style of writing is the style of speaking. I don't know. I know people say it should be different, but if you're authentic, should it be different? I don't know.
That's a question for another day. But personally, when I read the book, I understood what simplicity is all about. You define simplicity in the book very beautifully. It was very easy for anyone to understand where you're coming from, what you're saying, that we don't need to go check anywhere else, and we are completely with you. Jagdish, a question here, which while you were talking about how you were connecting to the employees, it just struck, and I thought I can ask you this question. May is the month of mental health.
And with the layoffs every day being announced and the economic recession hitting everywhere, what is it that people need to do to keep themselves mentally strong? Because work outside, nobody knows. What is it that you can control? Do you have anything for people?
Let me start with, when you ended the question, what is it we can control? As a person, as a human being, we have only three things in our control. That's our perceptions, our decisions, and our actions. So in this mental turmoil, as I can call it, let's say I've lost my job for various reasons. What is my attention on? Is it blaming the organization who asked me to leave? Is it blaming myself that I'm not good enough? Or is it something else? And that something else is just, it happens to anybody and everybody. This time it's me. When I got the job, I didn't ask why me. So why am I asking why me when I've lost the job? Okay. So if it's not me, do I believe in my own abilities? Do I believe in my capabilities? Do I believe in myself? Do I believe I can overcome this? It's about how you're speaking to yourself. What are you telling yourself? In my book also, I've talked about communication quotient impacting your IQ, your EQ, and your SQ. The way you speak to yourself impacts the way you think about, your abilities and the way you perform after that. If you think you're not good enough, you are not good enough. But if you think you can overcome this, and if you think you can actually get another job, if you want another job, or you can do something else, which is an opportunity. There was a person I was coaching, very senior person. And because of some reshuffle in that organization, he was doing the same job, but the grade became one level lower because internationally they had changed a few things and he didn't like it. And I was coaching him. So I tried to tell him that it's how you look at it. He said, Jagdish, I agree, but I don't like it. So I said, in that case, you have to take decisions. What is it you want to do? And he said, I'm going to quit. I said, okay. And then after that, what? So when he told me that he's going to quit, I told him that I have to now tell the HR manager that you're going to be quitting because otherwise it's a breach for me. So I have to tell him. He said, yeah, you can tell him. I've already told him. I said, oh, fine, great. If you have already told him, then it takes that load off my chest. So I started talking to him about what is it you want to do. And he said, no, I'm going to be looking for opportunities which are other than work, other than employment. And he became a very successful entrepreneur now. It's now what, about 4 years or 5 years. And he took it as an opportunity. He had complete faith in himself, his own abilities, and he saw this as an opportunity. So my point to you is that if you see it as an opportunity, there's so much more to do. If you see it as a point to blame yourself or to blame others, you are pushing yourself into a cocoon where you will never get out. So stop blaming yourself or blaming others. Look for the opportunity, be in the moment, and say, okay, what's my opportunity now? What can I do? There's A, B, C, D. Which is my strength? What is it I really want to do? And you'll find ways and means of doing it. Activate your RAS. There is opportunities for all of us. Every one of us can have a fulfilling life, provided that person wants it. Have I answered your question? I don't know.
Yes, you have. And if there are certain affirmations somebody can tell themselves, because sometimes you lose faith in everyone around you and yourself most of all, are there certain techniques that you would think would help?
Affirmation of telling yourself that you are good enough is required every day in the morning. If you're meditating, after you meditate, or before you meditate, tell yourself, smile and tell yourself, don't be serious and tell yourself, I'm good enough, I'm good enough. No. Smile and believe that you are really good enough. I think belief is something which is very important. My daughter has now graduated as a coach. I don't know what coaching. She does some life coaching, and I don't know from which institute she has done it. But this is her mantra to her son: belief. In his room also, there's a huge board which says belief. And I'm coaching him a little bit in golf, and he has a coach, a professional coach who teaches him golf. He's 7.5. He believes he's a world champion in golf. He talks to me like a world champion. And today in the morning, he's won his 5th or the 6th tournament this morning. This man tells me, Aju, it's so simple. My handicap is 20. He says, your swing is good. You can play to 3 and 4. I said, but son, I've been trying. It's not. Say, no. You're not trying hard enough. Let's play a game. I will play to 1 or 2. You will play to 5. Let's play a game. That's the way he talks at 7.5. Now, when I look back, it's simply coming from the word belief. The way he communicates, the way he is because he's being influenced by the way we communicate. He'll when he talks to me, he'll say, Aju, can I ask you a question? Now, at his age, I never remember asking permission to ask a question for my dad or my granddad. But this boy is so different because he's exposed to belief. And I think belief is something which is very critical, very, very critical. And if you believe, you can achieve what you want to achieve.
Very true. And 3 life lessons, Jagdish, that you'd like to leave us with.
I would say one is the belief. Believe in your goals, believe in yourself, believe in your team. When we are working in industry with team members, we always carry baggages. And the baggages is, oh, I need to give this to this person. I need to delegate. But last time he didn't do a good job about that other project. Do you still believe that he can do it or not believe it? Question is, can you start every conversation of yours with the belief that the other person is capable? You have to give that person opportunities to prove herself. Last time there was something which went wrong in the environment, maybe, or somewhere else. Why are you holding that person responsible? Maybe the process is not good enough. If the process is not good enough, the person can't be held responsible. But we hold people responsible, not processes. And I think that's the mistake that we make. I think if you start believing in people, believing in your team, in yourself, and your goals, you can achieve anything. That's been my mantra since I was 25. Belief, belief, belief. The other, I think, has come to me mainly in the pandemic and post-pandemic is connect with people, be grateful, and invest in relationships. The pandemic ke baad, after the pandemic, me and my wife realized that we are living in Bangalore, our relations in Bombay and other places. We talk to them on the phone, but we don't really meet. And we all say that we are busy, we are busy, we are busy. Are we really that busy? So we have now started the last 3 years. We take 3 weeks off in a year. No work at all. We just go there, plump, and from morning to evening, we're visiting people. And we call them up before and say, oh, so-and-so date, we'll come to you for breakfast, for you with lunch, for you for dinner. We'll come to your home and we'll spend 2-3 hours with you. So every day in those 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we go and meet people. And we stay with either my nephew or somebody else, or my cousin or somebody. And we get to just spend time with people. And I think investing in relationships is so important. I don't think my father did enough of it. I'm trying to make up and say, no, I will change that. Because we all follow what our parents did, My mother would go about meeting people. She would meet a whole lot of relations all the time. But my father always, like him, even I believed I was busy. Till I said, no, I've got to change that. And I think we need to really invest in relationships. That second, I would say, is, be grateful, count your blessings is part of that. The third, I would say, is acknowledge, appreciate, accept, and allow things to happen in life. You can't control it. Take it as learnings, take it as lessons, allow it to happen. When you allow it to happen, 50% of the solution is in that. When you try to resist, you're spending a lot of energy in resisting, and you will never win that game. What has to happen will happen. Like you talked about, somebody's lost his job or her job. I mean, these are things you can never control. What you can control are those 3 things: your perceptions, your decisions, your actions. Focus on that. Ask yourself every time. I find this is a very powerful question for myself. What is my attention on? And I think it gives me great answers. It slaps me at times, but puts me on the track every time. And I think allowing things to happen is very, very helpful to living life simple and successfully. And I would say also disrupt yourself. Disrupt yourself before others disrupt you. Don't let others disrupt you. You do it yourself. Jump that S curve, which I've again talked in my book.
Yeah.
Jump that curve to the next curve. The next curve is happening. It's rocking. It's great. Go there. Don't be afraid. Take your fears head on. Just face them. When you see them in the eye, the fear will go away. But have that courage. Have that courage. Be vulnerable. Like I think Bernie Brown says, no, I think it's the most accurate measurement of courage and authenticity.
Vulnerability.
Vulnerability. Yes. So be vulnerable. Vulnerability is a strength.
And that's so true, so beautifully said, Jagdish. Thank you so very much. Honored to have had you on You and I with Rashmi Shetty. Your journey has been fantastic. But putting them down in words is a bigger talent. And clearly, I'm waiting for your next book to come out. You have it all. And I'm sure there are many more stories that need to be heard and need to be read about. All the very best. Thank you for telling us about certain very simple things. But like one of my friends says, in a world where conversations don't exist anymore because we're so lost in the social media world, having conversations like this kind of gives me a lot of energy. So thank you for your time and stay blessed, continue inspiring. And thank you for just being the person you are. It was a
Thank you so
pleasure.
much. Thank you so much, Rashmi. Real pleasure. Look forward to meeting you in person soon.
Likewise.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
With that, we complete this episode of You and I with Rashmi Shetty. Do let us know if you know inspirational people whose story needs to be heard. You can write in at rashmi.thethirdeye@gmail.com. That is rashmi.thirdeye@gmail.com.